Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Religious Science in Depth, our Wednesday night forum. I do want to welcome you. I'm Dr. J. Scott Neal of the Tri-City Religious Science Center. Been teaching religious science here in the Fremont, Newark, Union City area for 45 years. We're about to celebrate our 45th anniversary. Again, I do want to welcome you, and if you don't know, our facility is locked up. They turned the key on us. What was it, March the 12th? And we haven't been able to get into our church, into our center, and since that date. So, because we haven't had the opportunity to have a live and let me put my arms around you and thank you for being here Sunday service and Wednesday and classes, we're doing it on video. And thank you to Katrina Anderson. And also I want to thank all my ministers, Reverend Bob Aaron Kell and Reverend Lacey Atkinson, and my wonderful practitioners Finn and Nancy and the whole gang, Jeff. Doing a lot of treating, getting a lot of phone calls from people from all over the world. And again, I really appreciate the fact that if you are getting this, send it to somebody. My purpose for doing this is to assist in moving through this virus lockdown experience and this marching in the streets experience. Boy, does that bring back memories. I marched with Dr. King down Olympic Boulevard in Los Angeles, 1967. With Dr. Dan Morgan, and when I say I marched with Dr. King, I was about 800 back in line, but this is deja vu, and for a good reason. We need to find ourselves, I think, at a time like this, looking at maybe what the country's waking up to right now and what the world is waking up to. I love the fact that they're protesting in New Zealand, in Australia, in England, in Europe, all over the world. I think what this is doing is it is allowing the world to take a second look at its priorities. And let's do that tonight. Let's look at our priorities tonight and look at the metaphysical meaning and understanding of the concept of priority. Now let's do a foundation. The foundation for the lesson tonight is the realization that mind is the only cause. And ideas that come what I was talking about, priorities. Now, you can determine your thinking. You can determine the thinking in your consciousness when you decide to have your own life with the right elements in it. To have your own life with health, happiness, joy, positive creativity happening as a positive unfoldment. Does this mean you're going to be problem-free? No, but if one shows up, you're going to know what to do about it. You see, most people never make this decision. I think everybody in New Thought should read Dr. Barker's Power of Decision. It's a masterpiece. Every minister in New Thought, Divine Science, Religious Science, Unity, CSL, should teach the power of decision. Again, most people do not make the decision to decide. This decision we're talking about is always ready to be made, but if you don't make it, what happens? You wind up blaming your problems on other people or on world conditions. Deal with the things you can change. What you can change is maybe not what you're moving through, but how you move through it. Now, in this instruction we call New Thought, that we call the science of mind, or unity, or divine science, or religious science, in this instruction we are taught to assume the responsibility of our own selection of ideas. We are responsible for our thinking. Most people don't want to hear that. They'd rather blame it on God, or God has a plan, or I don't know, and why would God do this and that? Anyhow, God doesn't know what's going to happen to you till you make up your mind. That's what Jesus meant when he said, "It is done unto you as you believe," not if you believe, but as you believe. Your belief is producing your life, and if you think from love, then you will produce the effect of love. Now, again, we are responsible for the actions and directions of our consciousness. This is what the great New Thought teachers have taught throughout the ages. You see, if you look at our history in New Thought, we are really the oldest religion on this planet. We go back to Aristotle, and we go back to Lao Tse. No great metaphysical mind has ever disagreed with another great metaphysical mind. No mystic has disagreed with another mystic. It's the lesser ones that get into argument over dogma, creed, ceremony. Back in the 60s, when I was exploring everything I could explore, I was spending time with Alan Watts and Krishnamurti, and it was just a wonderful experience. Dr. William Hornaday, Craig Carter. It leaves us free to do with your consciousness what you consciously or unconsciously desire, and decide. So what are you deciding? What are you deciding right now? Deciding to sit in this lockdown and this virus experience and this emotional release for this injustice for that wonderful man in Minnesota. The challenge we have is to what? As religious science, if Dr. Holmes was talking to you, he would say to you, consistent daily spiritual mind treatment, it should be your top priority. It should be the top priority of any practicing religious scientist. If possible, we should have allowed ourselves, when we get up in the morning, psychologists, in Psychology Today a while back, they had an article about the way you spend the first 15 minutes when you get up in the morning will affect your entire day. every time you see one of these programs that I'm doing here on the video for our Sunday service and our Wednesday night Religious Science in Depth, which when we get back in the building, please, all of you come in and let's have a live experience with this. But you see, every spiritual mind treatment that you give yourself, or you hear someone else give, or you identify with, you become one with, what you're doing is allowing yourself to furnish yourself with a guideline for yourself. The advice of the age I've always taught my students is, start your day in a positive way. Start your day with a positive tone and consciousness. Know that by starting your day in positive spiritual mind treatment or positive prayer, it doesn't matter what you call it. What does it do? It erases fear. It erases fear and it establishes faith in God. It establishes faith in good. Faith in health, faith in answers and not problems, faith in love. It accelerates the coming to pass of the desire of your heart. That's the divine urge. I was having a conversation with a Buddhist friend of mine who was pointing out that we need to get rid of your desire and my desire, and everybody needs to get rid of their desire. And I told him that's a desire. Gautama Buddha understood that. He realized that trying to get rid of the desire was a desire. Gautama Buddha understood this. Gautama Buddha understood that. He realized that trying to get rid of the desire was a desire. Gautama Buddha understood this. Siddhartha Gautama realized this, and he hit a middle ground where he began to explain in a very clear way, as Ernest Holmes does, as Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, as Nona Brooks of Divine Science, that what we're using one power, the good, what is positive and negative. An illustration I use quite often is, what if an earthquake hits and destroys all the buildings and homes, but the same earthquake hits the jail and lets all the prisoners out? Now, the people who lose their homes saying terrible earthquake, prisoners who get out of jail saying great earthquake. Anyhow. So what is it, bad or good? It's an earthquake. Everyone needs people to love in their life. Everyone needs people to share joy with in their life. Every good relationship we have doesn't just happen. Good relationships with other people are starting with what? With good relationships with yourself. With good relationships with yourself. I remember one of my early teachers said, the golden rule points out, treat the world or the people in the world, or treat others the way you would like them to treat you. Well, what if we took that into a metaphysical level and said, treat yourself the way you want others to treat you? With all thy getting, get the understanding, which allows you to wake up to more love as your positive experience. You see, if you expect the good and seek the good in yourself, you begin to see it and seek it in others. This is priority thinking. What are your priorities right now as we move through this, probably the greatest, or one of the greatest challenges that our country's ever faced? A virus challenge, and then a racist challenge. One life, God, our life, all life, everyone, everywhere. If your program thinking is allowing you to be a worrywart, find out how to think another way. But start that with a new self-definition. There's one life, it's God. That's your life. That's the truth of you. This is what all of New Thought is teaching. Wake up and realize God only made one you out of the only thing He can make anything out of, and that was itself. Every birth is an immaculate conception coming forth as the Christ child. Program thinking of the good is a good thing to do. Make it your way right now. What would happen today if you let go and let God and God's right ideas be your first priority? Think about it. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Let it be your way. Have a good night tonight. A good day today, or if it's day as you're watching this, or night, or whenever it is, have a good one. Again, I want to thank you for sharing with this lesson experience. I want to mention that since we don't have a congregation in front of us live, and we're not able to meet live on Sunday and Wednesday and pass the basket and have a love offering experience, I would like to share with you that we are asking for your love offering experience, and we are passing the metaphysical basket, and Katrina will put on the screen a way you can share your love offering with us. And I want you all to know from my heart how much I appreciate you taking time and sharing with us and supporting our experience here and our obligation and our commitments. God love you. God loves this experience. A once in a lifetime. And we're all going to get through it. So again, thank you, dear, dear people. Thank all of you who are contacting me. And now let's have a closing treatment. We go within in consciousness and know, and I'm going to base this on a concept shared by W.L. Barth. Mysticism, he said, is the redemption of our consciousness from the lower partial levels of life by our conscious personal recognition of the high levels which are open and available to all who seek their blessings. It's available to all of us. What is mysticism? Mysticism is understanding oneness, learning how to let it be your identity, and then think as oneness thinks. Think as love thinks. I don't care what religion you are, background you are, or what idols you have in front of you, or anything around your neck, or what book you read. We are all one. Many paths to the top of the mountain. And whatever path you're on, listen, if it's working for you, stay on it. That's where you need to be. I'm just looking at my hair. Boy, do I need a haircut. I mentioned the other day that Dennis Merritt Jones and I start good. Unfolding is my natural activity. I now lift my consciousness. I now lift my consciousness to a new level. I give it a new direction. I now move forward from this treatment at a higher level of truth. Not with just the words of this treatment, but what it creates by way of law. I celebrate my growth. Realizing my growth and expansion begin with the inner awareness of my kinship with the infinite, in which I live and move and have my being. I celebrate and honor the omnipresence of God by recognizing it and recognizing its expression everywhere. I now release any idea of limitation. I now release any idea of unhappiness or reasons for it. I direct my event from love. This gives me a larger insight. It transforms my life as I unfold into massive good. With a grateful heart, I know all things are possible with God. I speak my word of truth with confidence and freely release it to the eternal law that makes it so. And I let it be my way with thanks. And so it is, was, and shall be in the now of forever. In the now of forever, I celebrate the beautiful. God loves the world by means of me, and that's the way it is. And so it is. Thank you for sharing this time.